this is so weird. I always thought being bored was a good thing for like creativity.
Hey, I'm Adam, the apple.
And it's also supposed to be good for like self-reflection and balance and all of that. But instead it apparently makes you sadistic.
Hey, what's that there? It's...
Hey, yo, no. Being bored increases the pleasure you get out of hurting others or yourself. There is so much research behind this. So for most of us, being bored is a very normal, regular thing. But this wasn't the case a few centuries ago. Most of us were farmers and other stuff. But we all spent most of our time working towards surviving the next few days. This is an interesting statistic. So around the past few decades, the time we spent cooking and cleaning up and getting food and stuff is estimated to be around 90 minutes a day. Not too bad, not too long. But go back a century ago and that was about 6 hours. We spent 6 hours of the day just preparing food and doing like the regular day tasks. And if you go even further back, like way back, gathering and cooking food took up to half of our waking time. So we didn't really have much time for boredom. But the time that we did have for it was taken up by some major boredom evading elements like community, religion, and family. All of which used to be pretty strongly incorporated in our lives back then, compared to now. But that was good because boredom was considered bad. The afternoon demon, it was called, by the monks and the religious folks in Europe. I ain't got no time for boredom, because there ain't nothing good comes out that. They definitely did not have that accent anyway. But if you move towards the east though, you'd find a very different sentiment towards boredom. It was considered almost essential in both Buddhism and Hinduism. Experiencing boredom was a big thing. Like they strive to be bored every day with meditations and other practices. This is, by the way, a bit of a generalization, the East, the West, like there's a lot of countries and cultures in there. But the idea is the same. Boredom evil versus boredom good. So which one's right? Because it can't be both, right? Because these are contradictory beliefs. So let's see what science says. Well, let's see them facts. Okay, so in today's world, we're more bored than ever. Even though we have these phones to help us with that, they don't actually end up doing that. And I'm not gonna fully get into that, but basically, and I promise this is all connected, boredom stems from two main sources. The attention deficit, which mostly happens when cognitive resources and demands don't match up, which means when what you're doing currently is understimulating. Like when you're putting away your laundry, it's not enough stuff to take up all of your attention. And because that makes you so damn uncomfortable, you pick up your phone and put on a podcast or some music or a YouTube video to help use up the attention resources of your brain. Your phone works okay for this part, but it really messes up the second source of your boredom, the deficit in meaning. This is when what you're doing currently, let's say working as a marketing manager at Coca-Cola, it takes up all your attention and it stimulates you fully, but it doesn't match your goals in life and your current values, such as maybe becoming a published author and maybe not wanting to support a diet. But most of your boredom is generally a combination of these two types. And all your phone does is help you fulfill your attention deficit, but really riles up your meaning deficit. And that then leaves you in a situation that is very up. Okay, this is now where we're about to find out what boredom really does to your brain. But I just wanted to ask you to consider subscribing maybe if you've been finding this video interesting till now. So now that you're in this stage, you're bored. You start to very desperately want to find things to stimulate you, and you get more and more desperate the longer you go. The phone, TV, all of that doesn't help. It's too short term and sometimes not even enough stimulation. Your brain starts to prioritize any kind of stimulation, and it starts to put that even above your moral values. This depends person to person, of course, but let's get to the science. They did a study where they put people in a room without any stimulation so that they're bored, and they gave them some worms. And the worms even had names, Toto, Tiffy, and Kiki. And they also put a blender on the table. You get where we're going with that? Almost 18% of the people that were bored chose to blend those worms in the blender, compared to the 2% of the people that were actually put in a room with stimulation and weren't bored. By the way, no actual worms were hurt, though the blender was kind of rigged so that they would think they're blending the worms, but it was like kind of... But this gets weirder because they also did a study where they put people in a room with, again, no entertainment at all, and gave them a big red button, which would give them a painful electric shock if they press it. 67% of men and 25% of women chose to use it at least once. One guy actually shocked himself 190 times in that thing. But where this actually starts to kind of get worse, these studies also show that a lot of the military missions, which usually have long periods of waiting between tasks and missions, they lead up to a lot of boredom among soldiers, which then leads them to engage in sadistic acts, not just towards their fellow soldiers, but also others.
The Israeli soldiers appear to open fire and shoot them dead at point blank range.
What we call frequency. Yeah, I just drove over a body. Yeah. Come on, let us shoot. Oh, it's their fault for bringing their kids to a battle. That's right.
The horrific things that a lot of times soldiers end up doing in invasions and occupations and war zones. Now, this is not saying that boredom is the sole reason for all of these people to do all of these bad things, but it's more that it's the most common factor that contributes towards it. And research also shows that this depends from person to person. People who already have traits like anger and narcissism, or people who just experience boredom more often than the others, tend to be more sadistic when they're bored. You know who experiences boredom more often than the others? The rich and famous people. This is a bit of a speculative part of the video, but it still makes sense. Just hear me out. So I've been thinking this whole boredom and sadism thing must affect rich and famous people very differently and very intensely. Let's look at this entirely fictional character, Eel, Muscon Eel. He is very, very rich and powerful, and also pretty well known as a good person, actually. He's called a genius, a philanthropist. He's praised for his work for climate change, but there's something wrong, something very weird going on with him. He's getting bored. Not in the typical sense. He actually has a lot to do every day, but he feels numb. Again, this is a totally fictional character, so this is my theory of what's going on in his head. So what he's experiencing is a bit of a hedonic inflation, which is when experiences start to lose their value, and you just start to feel more and more numb, and you just really feel bored, and that's how he's feeling. He's done and can do everything he wants. He can buy and create anything he wants. But what he really craves and what he can't get out of all those things is stimulation. He wants it very desperately. And his priorities in his head are changing. So he tries something different. He goes out and starts saying controversial stuff. The same stuff he disagreed with just a bit ago. And what that does is stirs shit up and riles people up, which is kind of new for him. One tweet of his can cause so much chaos and stimulation. And he feels so good. He likes that a lot. And so he keeps doing it again and again, waiting to be bored of this as well. And this can apply to other rich and powerful people as well, who are in different situations, committing different sadistic acts. A lot of times, mostly worse than this. Dr. Eric Fromm, one of the most influential psychoanalysts in the world, said man is a passionate being in need of stimulation. He tolerates boredom and monotony badly, and if he cannot take a genuine interest in life, his boredom will force him to seek it in the perverted way of destruction and violence. Okay, we established boredom's kind of bad. The Western approach, those Christian monks and religious folks, looking more promising right now. But the thing is, the Eastern approach is a bit more nuanced than just that boredom is good. When you look at it, they technically do also consider boredom as a bad thing, but how they go about it is very interesting. They see it as more of a disconnection from the source, the soul or the God, but something that you must still experience and observe while you're experiencing it. When bored, be completely bored. Instead of just avoiding and forbidding it, they face it and like strive to face it every day. With this Eastern approach, I'm combining Buddhism and Hinduism both into one thing. But if you want to look more into it, all the sources, everything I've been saying is all in the description. But yeah, I hope the video is interesting. Check this one out as well. It's pretty cool. You might like it.